All right, I am so excited for this video, especially because I feel like it's going to be the most helpful of this entire series. In videos one and two, we talked about the role a book plays in becoming seen and known as a spiritual thought leader and not just another coach, guide, or practitioner. And we talked about why context matters, as well as exploring how books change people's buying behavior in a way that online content alone never can. And now we are ready for the most practical part of the series, because once you understand why a book builds credibility, the next question becomes, what kind of book should you actually write? Yeah? Here's something that probably will not surprise a lot of people, especially a lot of people who read a lot of books. Not all books create credibility. Just because you write a book, it doesn't mean it's going to help grow your business. You need to write the right kind of book. Some books strengthen your authority. Some books actually do support your business beautifully. And some books, even though they're well written and they're really heartfelt and you have the best intention, don't actually help your work grow in the way that you would hope that they would. And that doesn't mean that they're bad books. It just means that they were written for a different purpose other than actually growing your business. And understanding that difference will save you a lot of time and energy and disappointment. So, one of the biggest mistakes I see spiritual entrepreneurs making is starting with the wrong question. They ask themselves, what do I feel like writing? Instead of what kind of book will support the work I'm already doing or that I want to do. When your book is disconnected from your business, it can feel really creatively fulfilling to write it, but it can also be professionally confusing for people. So, what we want to do is find an alignment with the book that deepens your message, and it is fulfilling creatively for you, but it also naturally supports the work you want to be known for. For most spiritual entrepreneurs, credibility building books tend to fall into three main categories. And I really want you to listen to these and notice which one immediately feels like, oh, that's me. You don't need to force this decision. You don't need to overthink this. Your soul is probably going to recognize the right fit for you before your mind catches on with it. The framework book is number one. This is a book that clearly explains how you think about your work. It introduces your philosophy, your method, or your approach in a way that feels structured and intentional. Framework books are powerful because they position you as a guide. This type of book is especially supportive if you teach, coach, or guide others. You want people to understand your unique process. You're tired of repeating the same explanations over and over. So, for example, my first book, Find Your Cosmic Calling, A Guide to Discovering Your Life's Work with Astrology, is entirely based on a framework. It is a guidebook, it's in the title. So, writing this book allowed me to graduate from working only with astrology beginners and move on to working with people who are at a higher level and who are further along with their understanding of my work and of astrology in general. My system and process was all inside this book. So, not only did I get to stop feeling like I was always talking to beginners, like essentially kindergarteners in a way, which I say lovingly, because that's where I started as well. This book helped me charge 10 times as much in my private containers that I was offering because I started working with more people who wanted to go much deeper beyond just the basics and they wanted to get to my level, the pro level. So explaining my whole framework did not actually stop people from wanting to work with me at that more primary beginner level either. This framework showed that I knew what I was talking about so they could trust that I knew what I was doing, and it made people seek me out more. It attracted beginners and people who were further along who both shared the same thing in common. They all wanted to go deeper and they were willing to pay me for it. Even with having all of the information they needed in the book, they still wanted to speak with me directly and work with me in group containers as well, so that I could give them my personalized take on their unique situation. So the first type of book to build credibility is the framework style book. The second type is a perspective shifting book. This kind of book challenges how readers currently see a problem in their lives. It offers a new way of understanding something they've been struggling with for a long time, or struggling to understand, we could say. These books build that credibility by saying there is another way to look at this, and here's why it matters. This type of book would work beautifully for you if your work helps people reframe beliefs or install new belief systems, if you're here to change narratives and not just provide tools, if you want to attract clients who resonate deeply with your worldview. For example, my second book is a perspective shifting book. Messages from the Higher Self doesn't tell people how to receive messages from their higher self. It actually explains what kind of messages they can expect to receive. It shifts their perspective on what the nature of their higher self is in the first place, like how it works. How does it fit like on a metaphysical level in our understanding of other things like spirit guides, for example? What a perspective shifting book does is it invites the reader to work with you based on the transformations they are seeing laid out in the book. It helps a lot if you have personal stories or case studies from previous clients to draw upon, or if you don't have case studies yet, maybe you want to interview people and include their stories in the book. The point is, we want to make sure that the reader experiences some kind of belief change in the book that helps them appreciate what you do more. The third type of credibility building book is what I call an integrative journey. This is not a memoir exactly, but it does weave your lived experience together with your wisdom and your insight and your teaching. So these books build trust because they demonstrate your embodiment on the topic you are here to share about. They demonstrate that you've walked the path that you are guiding others through. You've been through the fire, you've come out the other side, and now you're explaining how you got to where you are and how you became who you are. This type of book supports credibility when your story is inseparable from your work. Maybe people are always asking you how you got into what you're doing, or you feel it would help your clients trust you more if they knew the backstory. You want readers to feel your depth and not just understand it intellectually. Your presence and lived experience are part of your authority. So, in other words, it's because of what you've been through that you have become an authority, and you want to share that story to elevate their understanding of you. For example, the third and fourth books I've been a part of are anthologies where I've brought together women from all over the world to share about their experiences alongside my own experiences on two subjects that are really important to me and my community, which are spiritual awakenings and the divine feminine. And as integrative journeys, these books show how our experiences have shaped our beliefs through our stories rather than tools. So you're not just telling people what you know, you're showing them how you became who you are. Integrative journeys are about showing that you are the living embodiment of your work. You are the real deal. And this builds trust because you're not just telling them you know what you're talking about, you are showing it through your lived experience, like a memoir, but maybe more focused on a main message or a takeaway that you want the reader to gain from your story. This might sound somewhat similar to the perspective shifting book type, but the main difference is that the integrative journey is more about you, whereas the perspective shifting book, while you might still talk about yourself from time to time, it's more focused on the person that you're writing for and perhaps people you've worked with in the past. So you could have parts of you in there, but it's more about the person who's reading the book, if that makes any sense. Here's the part that I want you to hear clearly. A book that is too scattered, too unfocused, or too disconnected from your actual work that you are doing or that you want to be doing will dilute your credibility instead of strengthening it. This often happens if you're trying to say everything at once instead of anchoring the book around one clear main message that gives the reader real confidence in your work. If you try to write for everyone instead of your people, your ideal customers and clients, we actually want to repel the people who aren't them with your book as well. And if you lead with inspiration, but you never clearly show the reader where you're taking them and why, or what you believe or how your work actually helps, that can throw people off as well. Credibility comes from really knowing what you're here to take a stand for and seeing the thread of how that would relate to them wanting to actually buy from you, getting them ready to buy from you, and helping to show them how your work is actually going to change their life. You want to tell stories that support your authority and experience. You want to share information that shows that you are an expert on the subject that you want people to seek you out for. You can always write other books later, but each one needs to have a really clear focus and a clear goal for you and for the reader of what you want them to get out of it. The best credibility building book is not necessarily the book that you're going to write someday when you become the master of the universe and you know everything in the world there is to know about your topic. It is the book that supports where you are right now, what you already know, and really valuing and appreciating the experience that you've already gained, because that's important and worthwhile. Like I like to say, you are the master of your own experience. And it also supports what you're building next. So you're not trying to explain everything you've ever learned. You are thinking about if you want to work with more clients, your book should deepen the work they come to you for. If you want to shift into higher level offerings at higher price points, your book should prepare readers for that next level. And if you're still clarifying your niche and you don't 100% know what you want to say or share with people, your book should help you take that clear stand for what you do want to be known for. This can actually be a tool that helps you become more clear on your brand positioning and what you want to say and share. And then if you decide to make content later, you can actually draw upon what's in your book to spread that message further and create that repetition that helps people trust you more. So you are not writing your entire life's work in one book. You are writing the book that creates a strong and stable foundation for your next chapter, starting from where you are right now. And also trusting that you know enough right now. You've lived enough. You've helped people enough to draw from that and then kind of display it in a way that makes them understand you and your value more. Now, I want you to pause for a moment and ask yourself, which of these book types feel the most aligned with the work you are already doing? Which one would make your business feel clearer or steadier or more grounded? Or which one do you feel like would naturally flow out of you the easiest? There's really no right or wrong answer here. All of these book types are really powerful. It's just about what feels the most aligned for you. The real purpose of this exercise is to simply understand whatever book you choose to write, that it should be a clear bridge towards the work that you want to be known for and not pull you in a dozen different directions. Most of the clarity that you'll actually receive will come through in the process of writing as you are finding what feels best to you to actually sit down and write and see what naturally flows through you. Maybe it's a framework, maybe it's a perspective shift, or maybe it's a more memoir style integrative journey. Maybe it's a blend of more than one of these, you know? So keep an open mind here, but just know that these three types work the best, whether they're on their own or combined. Just by taking part in this workshop, you're already so much closer to knowing how to step into the role of a thought leader instead of getting lost in the crowd like you have already of 100 other well-meaning healers and coaches and guides and practitioners. Everybody's certified these days. Everybody has super powerful work, but you have to help people see you in the right context. Being seen in the right context changes everything. Stepping into the role of leadership, it doesn't come from doing more or showing up more consistently, but from positioning yourself and your work differently. Once you understand that, it becomes much easier to see why some pieces of content naturally attract that deeper commitment from clients, while other posts struggle to convert. I really saw this for myself when I finally had a post just like blow up and get like all those likes and comments that we're all like wishing we would get on our post. And it didn't lead to a single sale for me. So even when we get that recognition, it doesn't always pay off. Today, you were giving the blueprint to write the kind of book that will make you stand out and make you more trustworthy in the eyes of your audience. You learned about the different types of books that build credibility and how each one supports a business in a very specific way. Instead of guessing or forcing yourself into a format that doesn't fit, you now have a clearer way to think about what kind of book will actually support the work you are here to do and to do more of. Isn't it so much easier when you can see how all of the pieces fit together in a totally different way than you might have been approaching it in the past? I hope it gives you a feeling of relief, like, oh, good, I can show up differently this year and I don't have to keep being on the same roller coaster of emotions of things not working and questioning myself all the time. I hope that this clarity allows everything else in your business to become more simple and more focused, and also, most importantly, more sustainable in your business moving forward. If you are feeling clear on your content direction for 2026 now, where you're taking a less is more, depth over surface level approach, that is a really good sign. But this probably brings up a whole other question. How do I actually bring this book into the world without doing it alone or second guessing myself at every turn? That is exactly what we'll talk about in the next video. In video 4, our last video, I'll share your path forward if you feel called to write. We'll talk about how to move forward without tons of pressure and overwhelm and confusion that most people get lost in, which is why they don't write a book and why they're still on social media churning out posts all the time. And I'll show you how Book Magic is designed to guide you through this process step by step. You do not need to write the perfect book. You just need to write the right book. The right book supports your work, builds trust, and lasts. It becomes a tool that you create once and it helps you sell for years to come. And when that book is aligned with your soul work, it becomes one of the most supportive assets you can have in your business now and for years to come. I'll see you in the next video.